I'm like half asleep right now. I just ordered boba, but I'm ready to go. This is the exact state I need to be in for a Girl Talk Q&A. These are sleepover vibes. I just woke up. I had my little breakfast sandwich, and now I'm gonna record myself talking shit. I asked you guys over on my Instagram to send in any and every question that you have for me about life in general, advice requests, opinion requests, anything you want. I've got it. I'll talk about anything, baby. Nothing's off limits here. As always, there were a lot of submissions, so I'm not going to be able to get to what everyone has asked, but if you like videos like this, I'll tell you what else you're gonna like is my podcast. I have a podcast called Emotionally Online. If you didn't know, now you know. The weekly sleepover for spilling guts and sharing secrets, hosted by yours truly. So if you want a little bit more of the secret sharing, the feeling spilling, you're gonna wanna head over to Emotionally Online, which is on all streaming services, and there is a video version on YouTube as well. So literally this same exact vibe. You guys sent in some juicy questions. I'm not gonna lie. I've written down quite a few of them, but unsure how much we'll get through today. But I'll try to do as many as I can. So let's get started. Before I get into your submissions, today's video is sponsored by Scentbird. Scentbird is a perfume subscription service that allows you to test out different designer fragrances every month for just $17. So every month you'll get one new perfume to try, and each perfume comes in a 30-day supply. They come in this super cute packaging that you just twist in order to be able to spray. Finding a signature scent is hard to do when you're in a Macy's and you're smelling 100 different perfumes at the exact same time. Plus, I also feel like I've been known to think something smells really good in the store, or maybe the first time I wear it, and then throughout the day or maybe throughout the weeks that I'm wearing it, I'm like, actually, I hate this. Thank you so much. So I'm excited to test out all of the fragrances I got this month, see what could be my spring scent. First up, I have Violet Gem, which has main notes of sun-kissed passion fruit, cucumber dew, sheer melon, and water lotus. The next one I got is Jade 888 by Hermetica, and the main notes in this one are ginger extract, lily of the valley molecule, and green musk molecule. Going to trivia right after this. I'm about to smell good. And my last scent of the month is Wish You Were Here by Memoir Archives, which Memoir Archives has a lot of fragrances that I like, so I've got high hopes for this one. That's different. Why does it kind of smell like coffee? It's because it is! Ah! The main notes of this one are summer rain, toasted almonds, and fresh ground coffee. I was right on the money with that. It smells so good, but I was like, I'm in a coffee shop right now. This is fantastic. So if you're interested in trying out Scentbird for yourself and seeing what fragrances could be yours for the spring season, you can use code Dragsbaek2 for 55% off your first order with Scentbird. So that ends up being about $8 for your first month, and this offer is available in the US and Canada. First up, we've got someone asking, what are my thoughts on if they wanted to, they would? My general thoughts on phrases like that is that they're used way too liberally. I think that there are for sure contexts where saying if they wanted to, they would applies. However, I think most of the time that people use that phrase, it does not apply. And I think that a lot of times people say things like that to give themselves an out for saying what they actually want. Because at the end of the day, the people you're dating are not mind readers. And if you don't tell them what you want, you can't be mad at them for not knowing what it is that you want and doing that, oh, well, if they wanted to, they would. Well, they don't fucking know. So that doesn't apply here. So I think a lot of times people end up using the if they wanted to, they would to avoid taking action on their part because it scares them. It's a lot easier to be like, oh, well, actually, the other person should have done it. It was on them. So actually, I don't have to do anything. And or I think it also is used to oversimplify complicated situations. I do think that there are instances where saying if they wanted to, they would be like an apt conclusion. Like, let's say you're dating someone for a while and you voice to them multiple times over that you need a certain thing in order to feel more comfortable in the relationship, and nothing ever changes. And it's just you constantly bringing it up, being like, you know, this is actually really important to me. I would really appreciate if we could make a little bit of effort to change this, and there's just never any effort. I think it does reach a point where it's like, yeah, well, if they wanted to, they would. They're fully aware of how you feel, and they are at this point actively choosing not to do that or help the situation in any way. So I think that like it reaches a point where you can say if they wanted to, they would, but I don't think that your first reaction can ever be if they wanted to, they would, because maybe they don't fucking know. Is it more powerful to not reach out or to be honest with your feelings when someone has hurt you? I think about this one a lot because I think that the general internet consensus from a lot of young people is that it is more powerful to not say anything because it makes you appear tougher. Like you didn't care. This person wasn't treating you correctly. They hurt your feelings. So you just wiped them from your brain. It's so beneath you. Like, this wasn't up to par. You hurt my feelings. So fuck you. Out of sight, out of mind. I'm already over it. I'm not going to even say anything. You're dead to me. I think that is what people often say. This is why I talk about how much I hate most internet dating advice, because I think a lot of it follows that formula of like, what's gonna make you look like the baddest bitch? You don't give a fuck. And I just don't really buy into the idea that not giving a fuck makes you any tougher or cooler. My perspective is that it's always better to say exactly how you feel if someone has hurt your feelings. I would rather show up for myself and be like, you know what? That wasn't okay with me. And I want to let them know that it wasn't okay with me and make sure that I am standing up for myself, that I'm vocalizing when things make me uncomfortable rather than pretending that something didn't bother me in the name of like being a super tough girl that doesn't give a fuck. I deeply give a fuck and you hurt my feelings, and I'm going to tell you that because I want to stand up for the part of me that's hurting. That to me just feels better. It feels better to be honest and stand up for myself than to minimize the part of me that's hurting in the name of appearing like I don't give a fuck when I deeply give a fuck. My take is that it's always better to just go with your heart. If you are really hurting, if someone hurt your feelings and it's on your heart in that way, I think it's always better to like acknowledge that and create room for that rather than being like, actually, I don't give a fuck. You're dead to me. Deleting your number, never saying anything. Bye. I just think it's better to talk about it. I had a very nice first date recently, but I've been hardcore judging myself for having sex with him so early on. What are your thoughts on first date sex? First of all, I do not think you should be judging yourself for having sex so early on. You can have sex whenever you want to have sex. There is no timeline for that. There's no right or wrong time. If in the moment you wanted to and you had a good time, then good for you. I think that's always worth it, and you do not have to feel bad for that whatsoever. I've had many a first date sex in my life. I'll be honest. Sometimes it just happens. You know, you're going with the flow. A date's going really well. And sometimes that's just how it ends up. Obviously, I've talked before on my channel on my reflections on casual sex and sex in general, the more I've gotten older and how it's sort of changed for me. So when I was younger, I definitely had a lot of first date sex because sex meant something quite different to me than it does now. I don't think there's any right or wrong time to have sex. I think you should do whatever you want to do and whatever makes you feel comfortable. There was a time in my life where I felt comfortable having first date sex, where I felt comfortable having sex whenever. Now I'm probably a bit more reserved with sex in general than I was when I was younger, but that's not because I think any differently of it. I just think I'm in a different phase of life where I'm very emotional and sex is very emotional for me. So I don't want to be having sex with people that I haven't known for long periods of time. Anyways, point being, there were phases in my life where I didn't feel the way that I felt right now, and I had first date sex that I really enjoyed and I had fun and it was great, and I don't regret any of it. I think a lot of times people will say things like, oh, you shouldn't have sex on a first date because it's gonna make them see you differently, which I think is complete bullshit. I think that like if you're with someone who's a cool person that you're meant to be with, that you are a good match with, it's not going to matter when you have sex. Either way, things are going to play out the way they're going to play out. I do not think that having sex early on is going to change anything with the right person. In general, I think that it's nobody's fucking business when you decide to or to not have sex. It is completely personal, and whatever you choose to do is fine, as long as that's what you feel comfortable with. There's no reason for anyone else to judge you, and there's definitely not a reason for you to judge yourself. Boba has been secured. For a second, I was like, no boba, but it's the popping boba, so you can't really see it, but it's there. Next up, someone asked, how do you keep your dating profile conservative when you're naturally sexy? I don't. Honestly, I don't really think about it because I'm not trying to appear more modest than I actually am. So, I won't put bikini photos on my profile, but that's mostly because I don't want to read men making gross comments about my body more than they already do. But in terms of like my outfits and the way that I dress, the way I show off my body in like clothes, I definitely don't shy away from posting my body exactly as it is, because I think at the end of the day there is some part of me that's like, well, the right person for me is going to be able to see me looking beautiful and gorgeous and sexy and still respect me, and if they can't, then I know they're not the one for me. I think it's a similar test to me as when men find out that I talk about like dating and sex a lot on the internet. When people find out that I am someone that does that, how they react says so much to me. If you can't have an open conversation about sex, about me talking about sex, knowing that me talking about sex is a part of my job to some level, if you can't hear that without making a pass at me, I find that really unattractive. Because I want to be with someone who can talk about sex without always needing to like jump my fucking bones. Like it's just a maturity thing to me. So I'm like, if you can't talk about sex in a casual nature, then I find that to be kind of unattractive. And I feel the same way about like, if you can't look at a photo of me looking hot, if you can't look at my body respectfully as a curvy woman, then like I can't be with you. Because this is what my body looks like. This is what my body's always going to look like. I do have beautiful, gorgeous tits, but there is a way to be respectful towards women with beautiful, gorgeous tits. So I'm kind of like, I don't need to be modest or cover myself up or do anything differently on a dating app than I would on my Instagram or any other place. I'm going to show up exactly as I am, present the same way I normally do. And if you disrespect me, then I know that you're not the one. What helped you believe that love would come to you even after so much hurt? I think it all goes back to that phrase that I really love and lean on a lot, which is the love that I deserve exists because I exist. I think it would be so strange to not believe in love knowing how I love. Like obviously love is out there because I see how I love. I feel how I love every single day. It would be kind of insane to think that I was the only person on the face of the planet that felt this way. In my head that almost feels like a little self-obsessed to believe that I am the only one that has a heart like this. Obviously that's not true. I know how I feel. I know how I love. I have to believe that there are so many other people out there that love the same way that I do, that feel the same way that I do, that see the world the same way that I do. I think it would be silly not to. And beyond that, I just feel like I experience and witness love in so many ways on a daily basis. Whether or not it's romantic kind of doesn't even matter. Like I have so many friends that are such beautiful, compassionate, empathetic, wonderful people. I see the way that they love, and that gives me hope as well, I think particularly dating in your 20s can be kind of hard and at times demoralizing because you're going through a lot of tough shit and everyone around you is as well. Like I would love if I was surrounded by relationships that I was like, oh, that's amazing. That's just what I want. But I think that a lot of young people are feeling the exact same way that I feel. A lot of my friends are dealing with the same things that I am. And, in a way it's comforting to have friends going through the same things that you are. But in another way, it's kind of like, oh dear God, we're all going through this. Like I kind of wish you guys were falling in love and having the dream relationship, because then I could look at you and be like, wow, there it is. But it's hard because it does feel like a lot of us are going through the same exact thing. But I do think that's just sort of a product of being in your 20s. We're still so young. A lot of people have no idea what they want or what they're looking for, and that's completely fair. I think that as long as I exist, I will always believe in love. And there are relationships in my life that I do look up to that give me faith in love as well. I think it'd be kind of silly to look at myself now and be like, well, love doesn't exist because you haven't found your person yet and you've had some shitty experiences. Like, I'm not going to let those shitty experiences dictate how I feel about the future or stick with me and make me believe something nasty about the world. Like, there are shitty people out there, but there's also really great people out there, and I'm friends with so many of them. There are so many people that I love and look up to that I'm like, I know you're out there. What are your favorite qualities in a friend? I love this question because, as you know, the besties are, always have been, and always will be number one in my book. There are a lot of things, right? I could go down the list just looking at all of my best friends and what I love about them. But I think that with friendship in general, something that really matters to me is like, loyalty isn't necessarily the word, but it's having a friend that is like so in your fucking corner. I don't even know what word to use to describe this. It's very similar to like sisterhood, or siblinghood in general. I feel the same way about my siblings, where it's like, you cannot say anything bad about my siblings around me. You cannot say anything bad about my best friends around me either. Like, something that I think about a lot and that I have always sort of been like, about it with newer friendships is like, if a friend comes to me and says, oh, this person said da-da-da-da about you, I'm not sitting there thinking, oh, thank God my friend told me. I'm sitting there thinking, why did they feel comfortable telling you? How did they even get all of that information out? Like, why did this person, knowing that you are my friend, think that it was cool to tell you that? Because I don't know why anyone would feel comfortable shit talking to me about my best friends. Why would anyone feel comfortable doing that? They wouldn't even be able to get the whole sentence out. If someone came to me and started talking poorly about my best friend, it's getting shut down immediately. You do not talk about her like that. And that, whatever you call that, is very important to me. It's also like when someone hurts my best friend, you are dead to me on spot. And I've never understood people that could see a best friend be like so hurt and devastated by someone else and keep in contact with them or have conversations with them, stay following them on social media. I've never understood that, because to me, it's like, if you hurt my bestie, you're dead to me. You're done and dead and dusted. And if someone comes to me trying to say anything bad about her, like, I won't even hear it. It's not, you don't talk about her like that. Like, I don't think you fucking get it. I don't know. I just think that like that type of energy in friendships of like, I will not let anyone say a bad word about you. I love you so much. I would never let that happen in my presence. There's something about that it feels so important to me. And you know what? Any friendship that I've ever had in the past where they were someone who was like, someone said this about you, and I was like, why the fuck would they tell you that? You're supposed to be one of my best friends. Why would they feel comfortable telling you that? Any friend that ever came to me with shit that other people were saying about me, our friendship did not survive the long term. I just think that like that kind of loyalty of like, I will not let anyone speak poorly on you. I will not let anyone talk shit about you. That's so important in a friendship. I will not engage in rumors, in like pettiness, in any type of mean talk about you. It won't happen. And I will clarify and just say that I don't think that venting is the same thing as shit talking. I think that all of us know that. There's a clear difference in the way that you speak about someone when you're venting about something to another friend versus gossiping or talking shit. Those are different things. I don't think it's ever okay to gossip or talk shit about your friends, ever, in any circumstance. And anyone that entertains it and then brings it back to the person, like, so-and-so said blah, blah, blah about you, you're shady for that, because you should have shut that down immediately. And honestly, I think that very reason is a major part of why I have had so many deep, intimate, long-lasting friendships. If there's one thing I do, it's love the besties. And all of my besties are also team love the besties. So there is no shit talking, there is no gossiping, there is no pettiness, there's no nastiness. And if there is, it's quickly taken out. That's that. And I think besides that, I probably also really value curiosity and enthusiasm in friendships as well. People that ask good questions, that are down to go deeper, people that remember little things about you, that follow up, that are like invested in you and your life and your growth. People that are down for anything, that are like, yeah, let's go do this, let's go do that, let's try this, let's try that. People that are just like excited to be a bestie. I mean, honestly, I could sit here all day and describe Ashley Olafson to you. I think that she is just like the best woman to ever exist. So if you're looking for what the definition of a bestie is, you go get to know Ashley. So I think that's enough questions for the day. I feel like we got in there. We had some good conversations. We started some good thoughts here. We're brewing them up. I like it. I like where this is going. If you like conversations like this, videos like this, I promise you're really going to love my podcast, Emotionally Online. We have so much fun over there. I post every single week. It's like an hour-long show, minimum, sometimes even 2 hours long. So if you're craving more me in your week, definitely go check out the podcast on streaming services. And there's a YouTube channel as well with the video version that looks just like this. That's that. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you Scentbird again for sponsoring today's video. Be sure to follow me on Instagram if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.